Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Mid-Table Crisis with me, Tom Patrick.
And me, Simon Cross.
And we have with us today a special guest star.
Hi, it's me, Dave.
And Dave Needham, who is a Leeds fan.
Indeed.
Right. Now, Simon, has anything today caught your eye?
Oh, well, there is something that some who haven't been paying attention might have had slipped through their nets. Today was obviously the World Cup draw.
It was
Big day.
indeed.
And we now know the fate of our beloved England. It's an ominous looking fate, some might say, with the draw being Italy, Costa Rica, and Uruguay in our group. But
Arguably, it couldn't have been much worse.
Oh, I don't know. I think Group G certainly looks a more battling prospect. They've got an all-round good team, a good group, whereas Costa Rica, I think, that is awful. Group G is a worse group to be in my eyes. With the USA, Ghana, Germany, and I believe Portugal. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Much tougher group, I think, all round than our group in some senses.
We have got two of the South American teams in our group though, and they will cope better with the heat.
Costa Rica are more Central American, but I take your point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Barnsley, is it?
No, but we have one of our groups in the games in the Amazon rainforest.
Manaus?
Yeah, Manaus. But thankfully that game's against Italy, and that actually might work in our favour, thinking about it.
Yeah.
We've got a younger side, and if the humidity tires out players quicker, we might come out with that with something, possibly.
Yeah. I think we've got a chance, certainly. I mean, I've heard a lot of naysayers. Dave, you were very disheartened, weren't you?
Well, I don't think England will get through in any of those groups, to be honest. Scotland's, that's where it's at. You know, you got Snodgrass. You look at how good he was for Leeds. Yeah, Snodgrass.
Of course, Scotland have failed to qualify yet again. So, that's one that we've got to wait another 4 years for, of course.
Yes.
Or indeed another 40, even with the great Gordon Strachan in charge.
Yeah, but they have got Snodgrass, so, you know, he's coming through, isn't he?
He is.
When he gets 33, he'll bang them in.
It's certainly a glass half full approach there, Dave.
Well, to be honest though, you look at them and all our England players are shit, aren't they? Really? And I know you can't say that on this show, but I want to say it because, who have we got? We haven't even got Johnny Allison in the squad. And he was brought up from Leeds as well. You know what they should do? Get Dominic Mayo on the coach line, alright? And then bring in some Leeds players. They've got a connection. Yorkshire through and through, battlers. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
our fans in Yorkshire clearly enjoying this section of the show.
One criticism of this England squad, I'm sure in the qualifying groups were that there weren't enough Yorkshiremen in there. I'm sure that was a big one.
Yes.
There's a massive campaign. There's a massive campaign at the moment. Get Howson in the England squad. Support them.
I'm not sure how massive that campaign is.
Is that campaign just you, Dave?
Well, I've started it, so, revolution and all.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. But back to reality. Uruguay have still got a pretty decent squad. I mean, I was listening to Alan Shearer, wax lyrical about some of their players. They've got a very good squad going forwards. You look at Forlan, you look at Suarez, you look at Cavani. 3 very good strikers there. And not so strong at the back. They tend to sit quite deep.
That's true. They've got Godin and Lugano, who are notoriously slow players, but they rely more on their intelligence. So if we could break quickly against them, I think we've got a prospect in that game.
Certainly. I think that's a very winnable game. As much as the Uruguayans will hit us hard, I think we've got a definite chance in that game.
Ooh, it's the one I'm most worried about is Uruguay, not the Italy game, because I really do think the conditions in Manaus will play against Italy more than they'll play against England.
Yeah, they are more used to the heat, but they will have an older squad in general. But the England squads, a lot of those players won't be spring chickens themselves. So it's an interesting matchup, to be honest.
True. I mean, it will come down to who we take. Do we gamble with youth or do we stick with experience? But that's a debate for another day.
Yeah.
On paper, it looks to be a daunting prospect, but I think one we could survive.
Definitely. I'm not too disheartened. Yeah. I think we've still got a chance.
Amen.
So, who to qualify from England's group then?
I'm afraid I've got to say Costa Rica will struggle as much as we all remember the days of Paulo Bonchop. What a player he was, and Ronnie Gomez, but those are long gone. So I'd say Uruguay and one of England and Italy. I'd say
that's a strong way to sit on the fence. I think you're right with Uruguay. I'm going to be patriotic and follow possibly my heart over my head and say England.
Well, fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion. I mean, I heard one opinion earlier. Someone was saying that Ricky Lambert should be a starting striker at the World Cup, which
who was saying that, Tom?
I can't remember. Some drunk in an alleyway. But but you've got to listen to everyone's opinion.
True. I've canvassed a few opinions about England's prospects, and it seems there's some with cautious optimism and some with abject despair. So it's a real mixed bag in terms of opinions I've heard.
To be honest, I'd rather it be like that than the years before, where remember the newspapers printing the word "easy" in capital letters because they thought we were going to cruise through the group, and we ended up sneaking through thanks to a Jermaine Defoe goal. That was very tight. We very, very nearly went out. We drew with Algeria.
I remember watching that game. That was so bad to watch.
Painful.
If you're ruling out being patriotic and you just look at it on paper, England's squad is pretty rubbish, really, isn't it, to be honest? If you look at it compared to all the rest, we're not going to get anywhere. So we really should not even watch the World Cup and turn on Corrie, because, the best chances are just building, yeah? Let's not watch the World Cup.
Yeah, considering
anyway,
it's probably a good idea not to tell people not to watch football.
Yeah, but then maybe it'll motivate them for Euros.
That is a consideration. We didn't think of that.
If no one watched them, they'll be like, well, no one's watching this, so let's get better, because they're rubbish every year, and we support them every year, and it always goes downhill. So why don't we just one year boycott it, right? And then they'll be like, well, what's going on? And they'll be like, well, let's get good, and then everyone will watch them, and we'll win the World Cup.
I think you're confusing football with theatre, Dave. But otherwise, I mean, you've got a nugget of a good point there in that we could take this as an opportunity to look forward to the Euros.
There's a lot to look forward to from the World Cup. Our first game is against Italy. That's going to be a great game. But yeah, 2 a.m. starts. That's going to be interesting for us. But who else?
Imagine what you got on screens in nightclubs, halfway through, a big number. It just dropped to the kickoff.
I would love that.
They did that last one. They did loads of nightclub ones where they put big screens in the nightclub.
See, I'm not a great lover of nightclubs at the best of times, but watching football in a nightclub just seems like a really, really odd experience.
Yeah, but you know what they should do? They should tune the music for exciting moments. So different music for if you pass a halfway line, if you get up to the 6-yard line, and then you score, and then bam, here comes You Are the One and Only, or something like that, If you did it well.
Do you mean I Am the One and Only?
No, you. New song coming out next year.
Of course. I forget. Dave's very ahead of music trends. He even knows songs before. No, he knows songs before they even come out.
Before they're even written, some might say.
Yeah, he's probably going to write them himself. Which other groups? Well, of course, I think we've got to speak about Brazil. In Group A, the first game of the World Cup's against Croatia. And then Mexico and Cameroon also in that group. That's a very interesting one, isn't it?
It's an exciting group. I mean, mainly for... I think both of us agree that Brazil will finish top of that group, but any one of the other teams could finish second. It's really open, except for the winner spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Mexico haven't had a good qualifying campaign at all, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare. They've gone through 4 different coaches in qualifying, and they used about 45, 47 players, I think it was. And Cameroon are a bit of a transitional side at the moment.
Yeah, they've got Alex Song and Samuel Eto'o, but not really. It's not really a winning side, is it?
No,
it's not a dream team.
it's a Cameroon side with a few stars and a workmanlike rest of the team, to be honest. And I can't see him getting beyond the quarters. And that's being generous. Croatia, I think they've got a good chance of getting out of that group. They've got a decent team. They've got some experienced players. They're a very young nation, but they've performed well despite the size of the country. They've performed very well. I mean, I know they'll struggle with the heat. They're the only European side in that group. But I think they'll do okay, to be honest. I think they'll sneak second.
So they're your pick. So you're going for Brazil and Croatia?
Yes. How about yourself?
I think well, Brazil's a lock-in, and I'm inclined to say I think Cameroon. I think they'll produce something because, as you say, Mexico have used a lot of players, and we don't know what Mexico's going to turn up. And I can't see. I think Croatia are a bit of an aging side, so they've got that to contend with.
Certainly. I mean, as I said, they are experienced, perhaps a bit too experienced. That's differing views. There's nothing wrong with that. And we move on to what I think most people would call the group of death. I mean, I know Group D, England's group is tough, but this is arguably harder. Spain, the Netherlands, Chile, and Australia. Now, Spain and the Netherlands World Cup
first
final.
Game, aren't they? Spain, Netherlands?
Yeah, first game, and Chile will be fine in that kind of heat. Australia won't struggle too much with it as well, I'm sure. And Chile have got players like Alexis Sanchez,
Arturo Vidal,
of course, and Australia have got a few decent players. You know, Tim Cahill will probably still be knocking around, but that Australia squad has aged together. You know, they've had a good team for a while, but you likes of your Vidukas, your Kewells.
Yeah, I was going to edge in and just say, you know, there's nothing wrong with calling back a 45-year-old. You know, get in the Viduka, get in the Kewell, get in the Ocon, right? Yeah, let's bring back the Leeds. Let's bring back a Leeds World Cup.
To be honest, I think Paul Ocon's probably too busy working as a night porter somewhere. I don't think he can get the time off work. But the problem with Australia is they as I say, the best players have either retired or, you know, they're a bit past their best. Harry Kewell's got to be 35 by now, you know, so it's going to be a struggle for them, certainly.
Oh, yeah, I can't see Australia doing much, to be honest. I think that they've got their nightmare scenario, being in the same group as the Netherlands and Spain. Do you think both the Netherlands and Spain will go through?
I think Spain definitely will. Look at their squads. I mean, I know some of their players getting on a bit. I know Xavi certainly is, and there's question marks over Casillas. But I don't think they'll struggle too much. The Dutch are always a strange one. Strong team, but sometimes more of a collection of players.
They always end up robbing it.
And that's the kind of cutting edge humour that we get Dave in for. But I'm sure they sometimes, a bit like France and Italy occasionally do, they sometimes just implode on themselves. It's happened before, it might happen again.
They do. They are prone to the odd wobble, but finalists last time and did very well in qualifying.
Yeah, and they've also got Van Persie, who's, when he's fit, is one of the best players in the world.
That's true. That's certainly true. They've got an experienced team, of course. Robben, Schneider. It's a creative side that could produce something incredible, but their back line is a bit nondescript, to be honest.
It's a little bit shaky, certainly.
Yeah. I think we're both agreed that it's Spain, then Holland, as our picks on this one.
Yes.
Yeah, but what about all your Chile listeners and the Australia listeners? You just lost all of them now.
Well, I'd say Chile have definitely got a chance. I think Australia will struggle against the passing game of Spain and the strength of the Netherlands. So I can't see them getting through in that group, to be honest. I can't.
And as good as Chile are, they'll have to produce a meet against one of the big teams to go through, and I just can't see them beating Spain or Holland.
It's two very tough games for them.
So onwards to Group C.
Group C, one of the more balanced groups, certainly. You've got Colombia, Greece, the Ivory Coast, and Japan. And I know the silent partner was very happy because the Ivory Coast have finally got a decent group. They've had two very nasty groups for the last World Cups, and it gives their golden generation a chance to finally make good after years of disappointment.
See, you say they've got a decent draw. I'd argue this is a fairly tough draw for the Ivory Coast, Greece aside. I mean, Japan have got a fair few creative talents that are plying their trade over in Europe. You've got your Kazuki Hondas, your Kagawas. They're a side on the rise.
Certainly they are, but they are not someone, say, on a par with, I don't know, Portugal or the Netherlands.
True. They're still in the second tier of global football, but
definitely.
Then you've got to look over the look to the South American influence in the group in Colombia, fourth best team in the world at the moment according to the FIFA rankings.
However, I think Colombia will make it through quite easily, to be honest.
However, I signed Falcao for my football team on Football Manager, and he was rubbish. Defoe, and I even signed Benteke, right, and Ross McCormack, and he scored more goals than him.
So you can't bank on these kind of things.
No.
That's true.
They've got Falcao and they've got James Rodriguez, so that's two very good players right there. So
I believe they've got Jackson Martinez too.
Yes, of course they have. So I think that should be enough to see them through the group. I think the Greeks
previous listeners be aware that we backed them as a surprise package when we discussed qualifying. So I think we're going to mirror our backing here and say they'll win the group.
Yeah.
And I am going to say Ivory Coast is second, but I don't think it's as clear cut as you make it.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. Colombia then Ivory Coast, and I'm going to say it's slightly more clear cut than you're making out. Oof. Oh. Controversial.
I know. Minor controversy raining down upon us. England's group is Group D, which we've already covered, so we'll blast straight through to Group E, which has got a very cheese-based theme, containing both the dairy-producing giants of France and Switzerland.
Yes, you can't get much milkier than that. Ecuador, I'm not sure if they're big fans of fromage-based food, but I'm sure the Hondurans are.
Oh, I bet they love a bit of brie or cheddar.
Don't we all? And the Swiss were a bit of not a surprise, but
they were a seed, which I think many will find surprising.
Yes. You'd have thought that France would have been a seed rather than Switzerland, but it just goes to show the way the FIFA rankings work. They're not always perhaps the best.
Well, you forget that France did have to go for the playoffs, whereas Switzerland did qualify top in their group.
True, very true.
I believe, as we've previously covered, France did unfortunately have to have Spain in their group, but there you go.
You've got to beat the best to win it. That's life.
You've got to play what you're given.
You got to play the hand you're given. I remember you always used to say.
That's true.
Regular listeners will know that Simon actually has hooks for hands, so that has a tragic meaning for him. The French. Let's talk about the French. What can we say about them? I mean, the last World Cup was an absolute joke. What was going on?
I saw a lovely little stat earlier while watching the draw live.
I think I know what you're going to say, but hit me with it.
France have either, in the last 4 tournaments, made the final or gone out in the groups.
Yep, that's a lovely one. Hey,
so,
do you ever think they'll get to the final again?
Well, I don't think they'll get to this final.
It was an ever-based joke.
I know, I'm trying to power past it.
No need.
Patrice Evra aside.
Yeah, they've still got some good strikers in Giroud, and they've still got Ribéry, and they've still got some of the players that they had at the last World Cup that they could have taken them far if they hadn't hated the manager and often each other. But I can see them getting through the group, but not much further. I'd say last 16 for them.
So you're saying France to win the group?
I wouldn't say to win the group, no. I'd say Switzerland, France, Ecuador, and then Honduras, because Ecuador are playing in their home continent, but they don't have quite the firepower of Colombia. And the Hondurans, I'm sorry, I know they've got the Palacios brothers, there's 5 or 6 of them in all. I'm not sure how many will go. I know 3 went to the last World Cup. I don't think Wilson's going this time because he's not really a footballer anymore. He's just more of a bench warmer. But the Hondurans don't really have the firepower either, I'm afraid. So I can't see either of them. Well, I can see Ecuador maybe sneaking through, but apart from that, I think the European sides are pretty much, the European sides will be happy with that group certainly.
So France and Switzerland to qualify from Group E. I think we're both agreed on that.
Yeah, Ecuador might slip through, but we're not sure. And we head on to the heady heights of Group F, which is a very interesting one. We've got Argentina, Bosnia, Iran, and Nigeria. We've got a South American team, a European, an Asian, and an African team.
Did they walk into a bar?
No, they walked into a pool.
Way!
A group, I should say. Anyway, who do you reckon's going to win that one? I can think of an obvious one.
Listeners of previous podcasts will know that Bosnia are my designated second team for this tournament.
Certainly so.
My newfound love for the Eastern European nation aside, I can't see them surmounting the odds of Argentina. So I'm going to say Argentina to win the group. And I am going to say Bosnia second. Why
do you like Bosnia so much?
Why do I like Bosnia so much? Well,
30 seconds. 30 seconds. I want the reasons. 5 reasons. Go on.
First time performers, so they're underdogs.
Yeah.
New nation, so you gotta like that for the underdog value there.
Right.
Dzeko, one of my favourite players, plays for them.
Right.
Asmir Begovic, who's scored this season, which for a goalkeeper is pretty damn impressive.
Indeed.
And finally, I believe it shows how well football can heal a war-torn nation. There's 5 reasons. Boom.
Wow, and give that man a job. Lovely stuff.
Please give that man a job.
Well, yes. He'll do anything. He scrubs toilets with his tongue. They've also got Ibisevic as well. Dzeko and Ibisevic, that's a quality strike force, isn't it?
It's a great pairing, it really is. I mean, strikers aside, Bosnia do look a little frail defensively, but they have Pjanic, who's a great creative force.
I was going to say Pjanic is a wonderful player. He's a force.
I was going to say, those forwards remind me of Beckford and Becchio.
In what way do they remind you of Beckford and Becchio?
Well, they're football players.
Yeah, they are.
They both kick footballs for a living, Simon.
All right.
They go out every week, right? They train, they play. They put a shift in, like Beckford and Becchio. They used to score loads. Well, a few.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the post-draw talk has been about how our Ibisevic and Dzeko, a lot like Becchio and Beckford, I should say, the 2 Bs.
It's the question on everyone's lips.
Everyone's lips. Alan Shearer has repeated it to himself over and over again.
Must cut that out though.
And the Nigerians as well. To be honest, I was a little bit heartbroken by this group. Argentina, Bosnia, Iran and Nigeria. I'm a big fan of Bosnia. I love a bit of Iran. And I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Nigerians as well. 2
of them are going.
I know. Iran are my Asian team. Bosnia, I've tipped from the end of qualifying. The Nigerians, I've been a big fan of them ever since the days of Sunday Oliseh and Finidi George.
And more importantly, it's the hope, maybe, if Shola makes the squad, Shola Amiobi will be playing at a World Cup.
And he scored a cracking volley the other night for Nigeria. Wonderful goal. So I think we'll hit up a link to that on the Facebook so everyone can see it and just see how good a player he really is. And but yeah, as you say, Argentina, I think they'll top the group quite easily. I'd say head and heart, just about say Bosnia to slip into second.
I think we found a thing we can agree on here. I think we're both backing the Bosnians to finish second.
Yep. And Iran and Nigeria to scrap it out for third, to be honest. As sad as that makes me.
Wow, speaking of scraps, Group G's looking at a really entertaining prospect. A group for the true neutral, I should say.
It's certainly a fist fight between a couple of heavyweights and a couple of emerging powers. The USA and Ghana haven't always been great teams, but they're looking strong this strong this World Cup. And then you've got Germany and Portugal, the two Europeans. Germany always do well. And Portugal, they have got one of the best players in the world.
Arguably the best at the moment.
Probably so. So that's a very interesting group. I mean, and of course, Jurgen Klinsmann up against Germany.
Oh.
The country of his birth. It's good enough to give Simon an orgasm. And then you've got
a footballing orgasm.
The possibility of Ghana playing Germany.
The Boateng brothers going against each other once again, possibly.
Yes, that's what I meant. Obviously, Ghana and Germany are definitely going to play each other. There's no possibility about it. That is just who's going to go, people might say Germany and Portugal, but it's not as simple as that. The USA have got a team of good players. They're strong and very quick at the back. Deceptively quick. And then, they've got Landon Donovan, Dempsey, they've got Premiership quality players up front.
It's true. And of course, Ghana did so well at the last World Cup, being cruelly denied by a handball by Luis Suarez.
Yeah. He thought he was a goalkeeper. So that's a lovely group. Definitely one for the neutrals to watch.
You called Group C, was it Group B or Group C you called the group of death earlier?
B and D, I both said, could possibly be called the group of death.
I believe this to be the true group of death, personally.
It's a tough one. It's certainly a toughie.
So I'm going to say Germany. And I'm going to say Ghana. I don't know why. I've got an odd feeling. It's not really based on any substantial evidence.
Did you go to Wetherspoons for a Curry Thursday? Is that your odd feeling? Is that the problem?
No, it's not a Korma hangover, thankfully. But I don't know. There's something in my gut that just says Ghana. I'm going to stick with it.
I definitely get that checked out. I'm going to go for Germany and the USA. I think they're going to surprise a few people. Dave, who would you have out of those four?
Don't really know anything about them, to be honest.
Oh, God. Oh, you're listening to the last ever episode of Mid-Table Crisis.
Oh.
Next week, Rugby League special!
No, never that. Never that.
No more fisting. And the final group.
It's interesting that neither of us picked Portugal, considering we just claimed that they have the best player in the world. That's a strange anomaly there.
Yeah, I think it's because they don't really have any strikers of note. And, I don't think that, they're not up to much, to be honest. I mean, they're a good team, but, I think the USA are going to sneak it. And I certainly don't think you can put Portugal on par with Germany.
USA!
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So it's all about the chance at this World Cup. That's what's going to motivate you. And the USA have got the best chance.
Ooh.
I certainly think Portugal, as long as you can shut down Ronaldo, I think you'll be okay. I think you'll be alright.
So, finally, we've got Group H.
H. What a group. Belgium, Algeria, Russia, and South Korea.
Ooh.
A gorgeous looking group.
It's an interesting group on paper.
Belgium, innit?
Belgium. It's got to be Belgium to get through that, straight from the off. South Korea, South Korea semi-finalists in 2002. I know that was a long time ago, but they
were at home. Don't forget for that.
I know, but I can't see Algeria getting through. They're too defensive. They've got Zidane, not Zinedine, but they've got a little attacking midfielder called Zidane, who's probably their best player. But apart from that, they've not got much. So I can see Belgium winning the group and Russia and South Korea tonking it out. I'd say South Korea might just sneak it. Russia have got they've got a very functional team. Very functional. Not many stars. People raved about Zhirkov before he came to Chelsea, and then he didn't really do much. He certainly wasn't the Russian Ronaldinho as he was billed. So I think they'll struggle. Certainly, I think Belgium will cruise it. Big fan of the Belgians, as everyone who's ever met me will know. I've got a big tattoo of the Belgian flag across my face. Such a fan am I.
What a mad night out that was.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, so we're both agreed.
But I'm not agreed.
Oh.
I'm not agreed. I think it's going to be Belgium and Russia.
Belgium and Russia. Well,
Yeah.
You don't agree with a lot, do you two?
Well, that's kind of the point. If we agreed with everything, it'd just be
mid-table agreement.
Yeah.
Crisis.
It's a crisis of confidence.
Indeed.
But turning away from the heady heights of the World Cup,
we
the lowly lows of West Ham.
They're stuck in somewhat of the doldrums of the Premier League at the moment, West Ham, and without a striker of any note.
Oh,
having put all their eggs in one basket and having that basket.
Cole. What about Carlton Cole?
They've signed Carlton Cole again for about the fourth time. Having let him go over the summer, they signed him back, and he scored against Fulham. He came off the bench to score against Fulham, which consigned poor old Martin Jol to
the managerial scrap heap.
So yeah, regular listeners will be happy to hear that sometimes we do get it right.
Only sometimes.
Only sometimes. But yeah, West Ham. I'm a big fan of Ravel Morrison, and he's their top scorer with 5, which, let's be honest, isn't very many. We should mention that Carroll, their big money signing, he's been out.
Yet to play.
He's been out with an injury for a long time, and I think he was their big, he was going to be their big hitter.
They put all their eggs in that basket, and that basket seems to have some major structural issues.
That is a lovely metaphor there. Yeah, apart from that, they've got Vaz-Tay. They've got,
But a Bolton legend, Vaz-Tay. Ricardo Vaz-Tay is hero in my eyes.
Yeah, but you're short-sighted.
Do you think they signed Vaz-Tay because it sounds really good?
I don't think.
If they call him into the office, they're like, Vaz, here, Vazzy. It just rolls off the tongue, man.
His first name's Ricardo. I think they call him Ricky.
Well, last names in football clubs, that's what it's all about.
He's got a point there.
Yeah.
First one tonight. Yeah, Vaz-Tay's got 4 goals. He's their second top scorer, and then you've got Carlton Cole on 2. It is fairly pitiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why are you digging into them? They're doing pretty well.
They're 17th.
Yeah, it's not last, is it?
It's not last, no, but Sunderland have had 2 managers already. Fulham have had 2 managers already and can't seem to find a goal.
Thing is, right?
And Palace have had 2 managers already.
If you haven't got any money, you can't get anywhere in the Premier League. It's pointless. We watch it year in, year out. We always know who's going to come top.
Yeah, they spent £15 million on Andy Carroll. They had a bit of money, let's be honest.
Yeah.
£15 million on a player.
Student loan, isn't it?
Yeah. And Ravel Morrison, he was a nice little boy from I think he was at Man United, and he was known as being a bit of a wrong 'un. I've said this before. I've mentioned before that I'm a Morrison fan. But yeah, he's gone into a bit of trouble at the pass, and in fact he's suspended for the next few games for a incident I think the other night. But
right, here we go, Simon. I'm putting you in the shoes of a West Ham manager. All right, turn them around. Here we go.
You wearing your shoes back to front? No, go on.
Right, well, it's the January market, isn't it? They've got to get someone else in up front. I mean, they've put all their eggs, as I've said, in the Andy Carroll basket. That hasn't worked. They need to get in a proven goal scorer. I mean, Jermaine Defoe would have been a decent shout, but he's off to the MLS.
Yeah.
Luciano Becchio's unhappy at Norwich. Rumours abound of that, so it might be worth going in for him. Norwich have too many strikers for him to get a game there, I feel. But it's definitely firepower up front, and those are, well, Becchio I think is a realistic prospect. Defoe would have been an ideal one.
Can I ask you a question, Simon?
Go on.
Right. If you're a manager, right, would you secretly get a football manager and then filter out the best players that are realistic for your club and then go to the press conference and say them so you didn't have to do any of the hard work?
Well, regular listeners all know my painful addiction to Football Manager, and I probably would do that, to be honest.
Almost definitely.
So who would come up top, right? In your latest Football Manager, right, you got to pick a player to turn you around. Who would it be?
That I've seen.
Oh, you can afford, you got a budget and shit.
Let's say I say Danny Ings would be a decent shout, actually, from Burnley. West Ham do well to look at him.
Certainly. Buying from lower leagues.
Do you know what I reckon?
Is it a
Emil
league
Heskey. And I'll tell you why, right? Emil Heskey, if anyone is playing Football Manager 2013, Emil Heskey is an amazing buy. I bought him for Tottenham Hotspur, and he scored in the Champions League final. That's right. 4 games, 2 goals.
Which is an enviable record for anyone.
That's 1 in 2.
That's literally 1 in 2. You divide that sum by 2. That's 1 in 2. I mean, that is enviable.
There's one for you stats fans out there.
Oh, secret partner, Gary. Well, he's not called Gary, is he? Oh, I don't know what he's called. Anyway, some say that he's met Emil Heskey. He went on a night out with him, and they got totally lashed, got totally pissed, and they didn't know where they were, so they went to McDonald's and they never talked about it again. But no one really knows if that's true or not.
And all we have is the sound of silence to neither confirm or deny that story.
Yep. He could be dead or alive for all we know or care. Yeah. I mean, looking at the forwards, I'll read some names to you. Carroll, Cole, Tom Beeds. The only recognisable names in the forward line at the moment are Carroll, Cole, Petric and Vazte. Maiga, maybe. It's nothing special. So yes.
I think most West Ham fans wish they couldn't recognise Maiga, but they don't seem to hold him in high regard.
They need to buy. They definitely need to buy, which is ridiculous after they bought a £15 million striker and then got rid of and then re-signed one of their players. Big Sam Allardyce needs to sort it out. Nolan, you can usually rely on for a few goals, but I think he's only got 1 so far this season.
He hasn't had the knockdowns from Carroll. He usually makes the runs into the box, and after Carroll's headed the ball down to him. That's how it worked last season. But it's without Carroll, the supply's not there.
I think it's all about intimidation. When you haven't got any money, you spend on someone who's intimidating. You're getting the mafia bosses, you're getting the big boys. It's not about buying the big players because you can't afford them. So you just get someone who's really fat and big and looks hard, and then people won't come near him.
Is that why they bought Andy Carroll?
Right.
Maybe so. And they did re-sign Carlton Cole, and he's a big lad.
That's true. They like their stocky strikers.
And one player that would certainly improve them is a little lad by the name of Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh. Now, rumours abound that he's off to West Ham, but they appear to be made up.
Mainly by Russell Brand.
Yeah. What is true, though, is that apparently he's opening a museum about himself on his homeland of Madeira.
Madeira, the island on which he was born, of course.
Yeah.
Famous for its cakes before the birth of Ronaldo.
And famous for Madeira, the famous drink. Stephen Fry's a big fan, I know.
How old is Ronaldo then? Is he 29 or something?
He's 28 years old.
Right, so what has he got? What has he got in his life? Mandela's not even got a bloody museum.
I'm fairly sure Mandela might have a museum somewhere.
Yeah, but he should have a museum. And, this Ronaldo guy, he's 28, what has he done? Oh, look at this, it's football, isn't it? Well, he probably doesn't speak like that, but, that's the thing. Like, seriously, there's not going to be nothing in there. It's just like a sheet of what I've won. And then there's like, that's it. 10 quid, please. Fuck off.
I have a real deep fear that it's just going to be a wall of combs, a giant mirror in which he's already superimposed his image, and just a list of his stats.
Or it's just his cock, and then people come in and they just rub it. Like if he cut his cock off and then stuck it on like a frame, then that would be interesting, wouldn't it? So you come to what are you laughing at? You come to see his knob.
Oh Christ! Yeah.
Dave, have you been drinking?
No.
Yes, he definitely has.
Started yet. It's all fun and games.
The sad downfall of Dave Needham. Remember the name because you'll see the name in the paper under the headline missing. It is very egotistical, arrogant even of a player. He's not even retired yet, and he's opened a museum to himself. I mean, maybe he's trying to boost tourism in Madeira, but still.
Do you think his friends call him Christy?
I don't know. I'd like to think so. I reckon they have to call him CR7 or CR9, like his brand.
Yeah, I think so.
It makes him sound like C-3PO's like arrogant cousin.
Are you good at making up football chants? Right.
No,
Say,
no,
right,
no.
here we go, right? The museum, ring you up. Right, here we go, right? You ready? Ring, pick up the phone, yeah? Ring.
Hello?
Right, hello. Right, I'm from the Cristiano Ronaldo Museum. Heard you on midlife crisis? Sound pretty good.
Cool.
So, we want like a little chant, something so people walk in and are like, oh, this is the Cristiano Ronaldo Museum. Let's go.
Some music, so they walk through the doors, they hear this, they think, right, this is definitely what I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling the spirit of Cristiano.
That's why we're ringing you, yeah.
Right, that's what you're looking for. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Are you ready? Do you want me to count you in?
Alright, give me a second. Alright, yeah.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Ronaldo, whoa, Ronaldo, whoa. That's all I've got. I'm not a songwriter.
Oh, wait, could you do it again, but just, like, put in that we need £10 charging admissions as well.
Alright.
I'll make it a bit sexier as well, yeah? Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
Ronaldo, whoa, Ronaldo, whoa. €10, please.
Brilliant, right. Thanks, see you later.
Alright, bye.
Yeah. That was actually a real call-in. That's the first call-in that we've got.
Woo!
Yeah. Back to you, Tom.
Yeah, lovely stuff. It's nice to see what we've descended into. And,
Madness.
Madness. To be honest, your songwriting reminds me of Madness, because they've got a house in the middle of our street.
Welcome to the house of fun. Sorry.
Yeah, apparently the museum will be opening in Madeira's capital, Funchal, and he'll be there in person on December the 15th to showcase memorabilia including footballs, photographs, and trophies. And apparently he's named his son after himself, which is nice. And the young son will be there as well.
What's his son called? Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh, that's ridiculous.
That's
ridiculous. You know what? This guy. You know what? Right? You can take your bloody song and you shove up your arse because I'm not working for this guy anymore.
Well, that was odd.
Yeah. He started his career on the island's club of Andorina, I think that is. From there, he went to Sporting Lisbon, of course, and it just got better from there.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly one of the world's best players at the moment, but it's just a bit mental, isn't it? That kind of caprice can only be attributed to someone like himself or Ibrahimovic,
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a man that will open up a museum for himself. Now he knows Ronaldo's doing one.
He's equally as mad.
What about Dominic Matteo? He should open one up.
Yeah, he probably has got one, but no one knows it exists.
I'm fairly sure you're the creator of the Dominic Matteo museum, Dave, to be honest.
Creator or curator?
Curator.
Both. And narrator.
Yeah, he is both.
And receptionist. And PR.
And work experience boy, weirdly.
Yeah. Right, okay, so the Dom Matteo Museum is open in Leeds. Right, yeah, Little London in Leeds, yeah? 10 quid. Come to my house. Did you know though, he scored, wait, let me sing the song in my head, because he scored a goal, but I can't remember what it was. Dom Matteo. San Siro. Yeah, he scored against AC Milan, didn't he?
He might have, yeah, he did.
He did, because there's a song, and then he goes, Dom Matteo scored a fucking great goal in the San Siro. And then, they did another one about Tracer Candle. Tracer Candle scored a fucking great goal in the Scouse shithole, because it was about, I don't know, I think it might have been like a Scouse team.
Liverpool, maybe.
Probably Liverpool, yeah. No, but it wasn't Liverpool, because we were in the Championship.
Everton.
We were in the Championship, though.
Tranmere.
Probably, yeah.
What about if it's in the cup? What about if it was in the cup?
What do you think about Enoch Swamby?
Oh, Jesus.
Enoch's got a massive cock. Enoch. It's bigger than a rugby sock. Enoch. He shagged the woman. Now he's dead. He whips his cock around his head. Enoch Swamby. Enoch's 21. Right, sorry. Back to the show.
Lovely stuff, Enoch's big cock. Lovely stuff.
Right, okay, now it's on to the next point that we got coming up, which is manager sackings. Over to you, Thomas.
Manager sackings. Now, I know Alan Pardew described it as Black Monday, which was a little bit severe. I don't think it was quite that bad. But 5 defeats in a row for Martin Jol. He had to go, as we described he would last week. And, Owen Coyle, perhaps a little bit unlucky. Wigan weren't doing too bad.
But I think they pulled the trigger too early on that one.
Certainly. You're a Coyle fan, aren't you?
I like the way Coyle tries to play his football, certainly. And I just think that Wigan fans should remember that European football does take its toll on a championship side.
Certainly.
So when they called for his head, I've heard rumours that there'll be Brentford's manager in to replace him, Rosler.
Uwe Rosler
Will be in to replace. Like he's been courted for the role, so
certainly a good player, former Manchester City striker, the German.
But it's a big step up.
Big step up. Big step up. But he's been doing very well with Brentford. He looks like an astute manager. And Wigan, they're not afraid to appoint risks.
They're not afraid to go for the lesser known managers, are they, Tom?
Certainly not. They are certainly not. So it'll be interesting to see who goes there. And of course, we've got to mention also Dave Jones of Sheffield Wednesday was shown the door. And Barnsley have dismissed their manager, David Flitcroft. That was on the Saturday. So there's a few northern clubs looking for new managers, certainly.
The interesting thing with the Sheffield Wednesday vacancy is that Neil Warnock was linked with it for a brief period.
Oh, what a bastard.
He's been he's been ruled out, though, hasn't he? Famously, he was Sheffield United manager when they were in the Premier League, but he didn't last too long.
Right, you know what? I know this might be cut. But Neil Warnock, right? What a load of old shit, right? Because you know what? He comes to Leeds, and everyone's like, ooh, big hype, ooh, he's a manager in Premier League. Comes here, right? Does absolutely nothing, get loads of money, and gets sacked. And then he says he left on his own turn. Oh, you know what, right? He really grinds my gears. Back to you, Tom.
Yeah.
We'll bet that's off your chest now, Dave.
It's alright. Yeah, needed it.
Alright, cool.
Needham needed it. I know, to be honest, Warnock's not my favourite manager. I wouldn't like him at Cov. He's arrogant, but would he open a museum to himself?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. But, yeah, I'm glad he ruled himself out of that. The longer he's out of a job, the better.
Simon, if you opened a museum, what would you have on the first left-hand corner as you come through the museum?
What's that? A museum of myself?
Yeah.
Simon, I've got to say it. There's got to be a testicle there somewhere.
Right, would it be a left ball, or would it be a frame of your face or your eye, or would you go more artistic and say, look, this is my first drawing when I was 3 years old, and look how amazing it is? Or would you put your school report on? What would you do?
I know what I'd do, Dave. If you've given me enough time to think about it, I'd put an interpretive dance piece in chronicling my difficult struggle through puberty.
Cool.
And are you just going to be continually dancing, or is it going to be like a film?
It wouldn't be me dancing. No, I've got stuff to do. I'd pay a dancer.
Ah, fair enough. Yeah, you've got to record Mid-Table Crisis, haven't you?
Because it's going so well so far.
Yes, it is. It was. And
I've brung you down. I've brung you right down.
He's brought us right down.
More like relegation scrap crisis now.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's Fulham crisis. But to be honest, as we said before, Fulham, I'm not surprised they sacked Joel. Owen Coyle was maybe a little bit unlucky. Dave Jones and David Flitcroft, at that kind of level, managers come and go all the time. You know, I think
those two were to be expected considering their positions in the Championship.
Yeah.
But I think I just don't like managers getting thrown away at the first sign of trouble.
No, me neither.
So it's tough, and of course it further disrupts the club, both those clubs, until they get a new manager in charge.
Yeah, Leeds won a weekend, didn't it?
Yeah, so
against Wigan. That's the point. I'm not just saying a random facts. You know, because I'm saying it because he said it disrupts teams, because Leeds won.
Yeah,
Wigan.
Certainly so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we move on from the sadness of sackings to Tom's trivia, which always brings a smile to the faces of listeners.
I know, millions.
I'm sure people are crying with enjoyment at the moment. And we've got to give a big shout out, as the kids say, to last week's winner, Mr. Rob Lamb, friend of the show, who correctly guessed Miksu Patalainen. Miksu Patalainen, of course, formerly of Bolton and Finland. He put that one out of the air. So well done to him. This week, arguably slightly easier, but he's one of those players that a lot of people forget. It's another who am I question. So I will start with the date of birth. I was born on the 2nd of December, 1968. I was born in Leeds, West Riding of Yorkshire. I made my debut for Leeds United in 1987. I moved on to other northern clubs, including Blackburn. I finished my career at Leeds. I played 42 games for England, but I never scored.
And I just throw in another hint. We used to chant, shoot!
I was so bad that my teammates wanted to shoot me.
Him.
In my final appearance for England, I was sent off in the last 10 minutes of the game. I am most famous for the 1998 World Cup. My last ever game was against Poland in 1999. But the question is, who am I? You've got a few less clues on this one, but it's someone you will have heard of, but it'll be the player that you always forget. Even he forgets his own name sometimes, which is nice to see.
I think I know it, but obviously, as I've got an obvious advantage here, so I'm not going to say.
Certainly so. And I'm afraid, due to a few technical difficulties, last week's podcast was only brought out Thursday morning, so we've not really had enough time for the FM challenge question to take root. So it's
remind us again, Tom. What was the FM challenge?
The FM challenge, Simon. Thank you for reminding me. The challenge is this. I must start with a lower league team from either England, South America, or Asia. And it is up to the listeners to choose where I start. Do I start in South America, England, or Asia?
And how do the listeners choose, Tom?
Well, they can drop us a comment on our Facebook page. They can send us an email at
midtablecrisis@gmail.com.
Certainly so. Or they could drop us a YouTube comment. Or they could just tell us in person if they're that kind of person. You know.
Or they could tweet us. We're at Midtable Crisis.
Yeah. You've got a wealth of options. You've literally got no excuse whatsoever not for replying.
Except if you don't want to.
Which isn't really an excuse. So yeah, that's the FM challenge. Please comment on that. And if you've got a opinion or a view on anything we've said, comment on us. And if we find it interesting, we might give you a little shout out. And just before we go, we've got to give a shout out to friend of the show, Roger Parkinson, who's an avid listener. Oh, he's a very big fan. And we just wanted to say thank you to our fans, and a quick thank you to Craig Murray as well, who I know will be listening.
Cheers, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
And that's all from me, Dave.
And that's all from me, Tom Patrick.
And it's all from me, Simon Cross. This has been Mid-Table Crisis. Those of you who have endured the Leeds-based barrage, be thankful that it was only a guest slot. And next week, normal services will be resumed. Until next time.